Hi, welcome to What Makes the Academy Exceptional. My name is Dr. Joe Tuite, and I direct the Office of Admissions, and I'll be your host this evening. We're kicking off tonight the first in a series where people from different areas within the Indiana Academy share with you what they believe makes the Indiana Academy an exceptional school and an exceptional opportunity. Kicking off this series, tonight we have our student ambassadors. So you're in for a real treat tonight. If you're participating here in the Zoom room and have questions for our students, please feel free to drop those questions into the chat box, either to everyone or to me privately. And if you're watching this on one of our social media platforms, please drop your questions in the comments or email them to me at the address listed next to my name on the screen, and I'll make sure to get an answer for you. To get us started tonight, let's go ahead and have some introductions. Alicia, will you start us off, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Alicia. I am a senior here at the Indiana Academy. I live on campus. And a little fun fact about myself is that I was actually a gymnast for 10 years.
Hi guys, my name is Brody. I am a residential senior here at the Academy. And one fun fact about myself is that I am a lover of all things folklore and mythology related, American or otherwise. I love it in general.
Hi, my name is Eric. I'm a junior at the Academy this year. I'm from Vietnam and I'm a residential student. A fun fact about me is I am really love singing.
I'm Savannah. I'm also a junior here at the Academy. I am residential. And a fun fact about me is that I am currently in Versus Play.
Great. Thank you all so much for those introductions. Let's go ahead and open this up for questions. As a quick reminder to those just joining us here in the Zoom room, if you have questions for our students, please feel free to drop those into the chat box, either to me privately or to everyone in the group, and we'll make sure to answer those. If you're watching this on one of our social media platforms, just drop those questions in the comments and I'll get a question, or excuse me, I'll get an answer for you. As you're typing in the questions that you have for our students right now, let me go ahead and pose this pre-submitted question for you all. What was it about the Academy that made you want to apply and attend?
I can go ahead and answer this one first. For me, I decided to apply to the Academy because of a fun little email I got that had a really cool logo on it that made me want to click on it. And I looked through the Academy's website and I was like, okay, this place seems kind of cool. And so then I applied. And then after I got accepted, I looked into it a little bit more. And it was really just the amount of academic opportunity that was provided. I'm a very humanities focused kind of guy. You know, I like English, history, things like that. And my old school had like no electives in either of those fields. And the academy had plenty to choose from. So it was just the diversity of classes that I saw that made me want to attend.
I can go ahead and go next. So the reason that I decided to apply is because I actually had an older sibling that attended the academy and graduated from here, and just kind of seeing the community that he was a part of here at the academy and some of the opportunities that he got to have here really inspired me to apply. And then after getting accepted, just like Brody, I did some more research on like the different classes that I could take here, when it comes to like dual enrollment, as well as the fact that I get to take like Ball State University classes as well, which was really interesting to me. And then after attending orientation and meeting some of the other students that would be attending the academy, I got really excited. So, yeah.
I can go next. I had a friend that went here a couple years ago, and hearing all of the fun things that she got to do, and then coming on campus and taking a tour and meeting some of the students who are currently there and some prospect students, I was really excited to have this sort of opportunity to turn over a new leaf and explore a new area.
And I see Chloe has joined us. Chloe, do you want to take a moment and introduce yourself? And then you can go ahead and answer the question too. The question is, what was it about the Academy that made you want to apply and attend?
Hi, I'm Chloe. Sorry for my little excursion. We had some troubles, but uh, I never heard of the academy until I received an email like a couple months before an application, and I started looking into it, and I found that the college campus kind of setting and all the variety of classes really drew me to it.
No.
Great.
Mm.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, to be honest, when I was in Vietnam, I have never thought of studying here this year because in Vietnam, I was studying at a top specialized high school in Vietnam. But until now, I'm so confident to say that I have no regret about being a student here. A really interesting thing about the academy that surprised me is the academic curriculum. Although I being a student in a top high school in my country, I feel that the academic curriculum here is so challenging. That means that at the academy, I have to try my best to catch up with my really excellent friends and also meet with the academy teacher high expectations about the students. And also a really interesting thing about the academy that I have never seen in my country is that the teacher will have up to 10 office hours a week. Yeah, that means that I can go freely to the teacher office hour or freely to schedule my own appointment with them to ask any questions about the lessons I have in class. And also as an international student, beside the language barrier, I have a lot of problems with the curriculum. That, for example, what I study about mathematics in my country is totally different from what I'm studying here. But the teacher here is always willing to help me, and until now, I can catch up with my friends and also have more motivation in my studies. That was I really appreciated the teacher at the academy and also so proud of being a part of the Indiana Academy.
Thank you so much. This next question kind of builds on what Eric was just mentioning, and that is, what was the biggest surprise you had in starting at the academy? Um, and what, not only what was the biggest surprise, but what's been your biggest challenge?
As for my biggest challenge, I'm going to think on biggest surprise while I talk about my biggest challenge. But my biggest challenge was really just learning how to manage my time effectively. Because not only do you have a number of classes that are a lot more difficult than standard high school classes that have probably a fair bit more homework than standard high school classes, but you also have to like laundry and make sure that you eat and make sure that you're not just sitting in your room studying all day. And then if you want to do extracurriculars, well, those eat up a ton of time as well. So just learning how to like effectively schedule my day, make sure I get all my homework done, make sure that I'm eating, make sure that I'm sleeping, things like that, that proved to be difficult. um, as for the biggest surprise, I would kind of just piggyback off of what Eric said, how involved our faculty is within our community. Like he touched on, there's a ton of office hours that every teacher offers. Not only that, but a lot of teachers are very involved in the extracurriculars that we offer. It's not uncommon to just see a teacher sitting in one of the lounges talking with a group of students about something related to class. Like the teachers have their offices in the same building that we live in. So it was it was a good surprise, but it was definitely surprising to see just how everywhere they were and how accessible they were.
Kind of going off of what Brody was saying when it comes to the biggest surprise, like I know he's talking about how involved our faculty are, but another thing is also like how involved our like residential life staff are. So the people like student life counselors that live on our floor with us and are just there for us anytime we need help. So like just like for example, they'll help you like plan out your weeks. Like I know I have a few like busy weeks coming up with like Common App the deadline for that coming up. So my student life counselor kind of helped me just like plan out my week and that kind of thing. So I think that they're super involved with trying to like help you out and just make sure that you're doing okay while you're here. So I think that was a bit surprising for me just because I didn't really expect it going into this school, but I do think that's been very helpful. And for the biggest challenge, I do have to say, just finding that balance when it comes to time management. I think that was a really big thing because when I first got here, I think I definitely wanted to overcommit myself to a lot of things. So I definitely ventured out into many different clubs, which was a lot of fun, but it was also a lot for me personally, also handling like academics. So I think just kind of finding that good balance in which you're still like, trying to push yourself to be the best version of yourself while also making sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Great, thank you. Oh, Savannah, were you going to say something?
So I think one of the biggest challenges coming here was definitely just being away from home. But I feel like being around like people like that I spend so much time with, it makes it a lot easier to not feel that like sort of homesickness that I thought I was going to experience. I thought it was going to be a really big struggle, but I came here and I met all sorts of people that were obviously feeling all of the same emotions as me, and it made it kind of easier, I guess, to sort of break past those feelings and just be happy and involved with my time here. And I think that like my biggest surprise was probably I was really worried about the food, but the food is not that bad. It is pretty good. I was kind of worried, but trust me, it'll be okay.
I think that's a good point, Savannah. We hear about questions about the food all the time, and there are let's see, 4 different dining halls. Am I right? 4 different dining halls to choose from. And as I understand it, and you guys can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but each one kind of has something that is like their specialty. That if you want sushi, you're gonna go to X hall, or so everyone has a little something special there. So. All right, great. Thank you guys so much for those answers. Kind of building up on that, we have a question asked about how much time do you spend on homework each week? It might be easier, guys, to do it each night instead of each week, or kind of describe your schedule, because our schedule is very different from that of a traditional school. So let's maybe start back with that and move forward.
Yeah, so your typical academy schedule is going to be a lot more similar to a college schedule than a high school schedule will be. We have Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. We have Tuesday, Thursday classes. Some of our classes meet 4 days a week. Some of them meet 3 days a week. I know there's a course happening right now that only meets once a week. It just really depends on the course and how it works out. My schedule, I am, like I said earlier, humanities kind of guy. And I'm also a senior, which means my course load's a little bit lighter than some people's is going to be. I also did that because I am in like just about every extracurricular the school offers. So I took a little bit lighter of a course load to try and make sure that I can sleep at night and stuff. But my first class is at 10 a.m., which has been the biggest gift I've ever given myself, maybe ever. And it's German 1. And then after that, I have an hour for lunch. And then I have Lost Generation Literature, and then composition and rhetoric, and then Russian 2, and then my one non-humanities class, which I'm a little upset I had to take, but like graduation requirements and whatnot, AP Physics 1, and then my day ends with my 4 to 5 p.m. Speculative fiction. So the vast majority of my homework is just reading. And fortunately for me, the classes that I'm taking this year don't have too high of a reading amount. I think the most that I've had this semester between a class period between like a Monday and a Wednesday, or a Wednesday and a Friday, was like 80 pages, 90 pages. Well, upwards of 100, but like not more than 130, somewhere right in there. And that's going to be like a pretty standard humanities focused schedule, I would say. But I will also add that there are classes where you can put a schedule together where you don't have any reading. And I put a schedule together the spring semester last year where I had 273 pages of reading between a Monday and a Wednesday. And that was a lot. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I did it. That's not normal. Normal for me, 100 pages of reading, maybe a worksheet or something for Russian, maybe per night, hour and a half, somewhere around there, give or take. It's a rough guess, but that's as good as I can get.
So for me personally, I'm kind of the opposite of Brody in the humanities sense. I'm definitely more of a STEM girly. I take a lot of like science and math-based classes, just because that's what I enjoy. But like Brody was saying with his class starting at 10 a.m., a very nice thing about the academy is you can kind of like shift your schedule to start depending on when you want to. Now there may be some classes that like end up being earlier just because you need it to graduate, and I mean that is what it is. But usually you can kind of make your day how you want it to be. So I start at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays and Fridays, sorry, and I finish at 3 p.m. and I have a lunch break in there. And then Tuesdays I have a class from 11 to 12, and then I have a class from 2 to 3:30, and then same thing on Thursdays essentially. But currently, a few of the classes I'm taking, like specifically that are STEM based, are AP Calc BC2. I'm also in AP Physics C, which are definitely two of my like bigger workload classes. So they definitely take more of my time when it comes to homework. I personally don't have a lot of reading just because I'm not in a lot of humanities based courses. I am in creative writing, which has a lot of like in-class work, and they try and minimize the work outside of class, which is really nice. And then I'm also in a government class right now, which usually has 25 pages of reading for like a Tuesday to Thursday. So it's definitely not a lot. I will say just obviously like with AP courses, you are going to have like a higher workload with some of those classes. So I usually spend a good amount of time on homework. I also just like to like study a little extra just because I like to know what's going on like beforehand when I get to class. Um, so I'll like my calc homework will usually take me like 2-ish hours, and then I'll usually try and spend an hour on physics. But I'm also like involved in many clubs and like different programs and community service. So I still have the time to do all of that along with my homework and still have like time to hang out with friends and everything. But it is important to note that like we do have that different schedule that Brody was talking about compared to a normal high school. So you're not necessarily going to be sitting in class from like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. every single day. You're also having like different classes every day, which I find to be really nice just because like you have more time to get that homework done as well. And a lot of times, because you have a lighter schedule on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I take more of that time to like catch up on homework or have a club meeting. Tuesdays and Thursdays are also usually lab days. You'll have a lot of your like labs on those days. But yeah.
So mine's kind of like the same way. I'm more like, oh, I like sciences a little bit more, so I decided to take two that this year, and those are definitely like my bigger workloads. I have a 2 hour break in the morning, which is really nice. I start at 8, so I try to get like most of my work done during that time, probably about an hour ish of work. So I have my evenings free for any extracurriculars like sports or drama or anything like that.
Great, thank you guys so much. As a quick reminder to those here in the Zoom room, if you do have questions for our students, go ahead and drop those into the chat box, either to me privately or to everyone in the group. And if you're watching this on social media, you can drop your question in the comments, or you can email it to me at the address listed next to my name on your screen. All right, so this next question, my parents are allowing me to decide whether I am residential or non-residential, and I'm wondering which you think would be best. Good question. Who wants to jump in on that one?
I can start out on that one because I was actually both a non-residential student and became a residential student. So I got to the academy my sophomore year, and people like when you start your sophomore year, you're required to live off campus that year. So I live 7 minutes away from home. I do think there are definitely benefits to being non-residential as well as benefits to being residential. So it does end up being a personal choice, but I'm just going to kind of share my opinion on it. So being a non-residential student, you're still able to participate in all the clubs, all the extracurriculars and programs and classes and everything that a residential student would be able to do. So you're not like limited to any programs. You're also able to come in on weekends to attend different programs that are going on or like fun activities that are happening. So you're still able to go to all of those events. I will say sometimes it is harder as a non-residential student just to be there like later in the evening because I know some students have like curfews or something at home, so that can be a little difficult. I became residential my junior year and I have really enjoyed it and decided to be residential again my senior year. So with being residential, I feel like a few of the perks, I guess, I really love getting to connect with the student life counselors that live on the floor. I was definitely someone who was very close with a lot of the student life counselors on my floor last year. I love just hanging out in their offices. A lot of times we'll play video games on weekends or watch a movie. They're also just there if like you need support with anything or if you need help like planning things out. Sometimes they'll help with homework. Like I think they're very good resources to have. Also, another thing that I like about being residential is having the dining plan, being able to go to the dining halls, and I just really like being able to go out and do that. I also think for me personally, it's made me be more social and just hang out with people more often. I love having a roommate and getting to live in the dorms and just being able to like go up to my dorm like after my classes are done and having like the lounges upstairs like on the residential floors for study spaces as well. So I think those are a few of the things that I've really enjoyed about being residential. In the end, obviously it is a personal choice, but it's just something that I've really enjoyed doing. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank
For
you. So,
those of
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. No, you're good. For those of you who know me decently well, my answer to this question is not going to surprise you. By being residential, it allows me to have like 9 p.m. club meetings and stuff. So that it allows me to make my day even busier, which is something I'm always a huge fan of. So being non-residential has its own perks, like Alicia said. You get to like be at home. But if you are residential and you really want to like get super involved with the academy, you can do that as a non-residential student. It just gets a little bit more difficult because you have to like drive home afterwards. You know, I can have a club meeting at 10 p.m. and then, walk to my room as soon as it's done and go to bed. It just cuts down a lot of the like transition time between stuff, which I think is the biggest perk for me, at least.
Great, thank you. The next question is kind of surrounding the whole roommate thing. So, how do you get a roommate? Can you pick your own? Is it difficult living with somebody that you don't know? Just kind of all of those questions about roommates.
Hold up. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start. I did a randomized roommate, and I definitely don't regret that. Tori's a very nice person, and it definitely helped me be able to branch out and kind of get out of my comfort zone. And it really helped me to meet other people at the academy and be less shy. And I don't know anybody, but being able to live with somebody I don't know really helped me be able to talk to other people I don't know.
So if you are accepted as a residential student, they will send out a honestly, personality survey, I would say is the best way to do it, or like a habits survey, like what time do you go to bed? What type of music do you like to listen to? How much light do you like in the room? Just all kinds of things like that. And then they will try and pair you with another person who's doing the whole random roommate thing that like matches with you in some way. That way they can try and avoid the scenario where like there's a roommate up at 2 a.m. doing homework and the other roommate's trying to like desperately get some sleep. Just try and avoid some of those as much as they can. But some situations like that do inevitably happen. And honestly, I would say that it's not the worst thing in the world that those things aren't fully prevented, because it gives an opportunity for students to be put into a new and frankly uncomfortable situation. But it's one that you're going to have to learn to live with. So I I feel like the random roommate thing, that's what most people do as first year students, where they just get put with someone and you got to learn to live with it as best as you can. Honestly, I feel like even though it's a little bit of a trial by fire, it definitely forms some really deep bonds with whoever you're with. And it gets your student a lot more comfortable with being in situations that might not be comfortable. But a lot of students for their senior year pick their roommate. So if you want to be roommates with this person and they also want to be roommates with you, you can request that and then you'll room together. That's what I did this year. But last year I had a random roommate and it worked out just fine. You know, vast majority of the time it works out either way. Learning to live with someone is a really important skill, and you learn pretty quick here how to do it.
I think one of the nice things about the way we've established the academy program is if you do have a random roommate, like you all were talking about, well, I guess even if you do select your roommate, sometimes you're going to have struggles or disagreements or things that you kind of butt heads with. And you have your student life counselors on the floor with you who can then help you to navigate that. So they help you learn how to have those difficult conversations with each other and work out some type of a roommate agreement so that by the time you get to college and have a new roommate there, you're going to have those skills built up, because where at the academy you have the help working with that, at most colleges you're not going to have help. So I think the role of the student life counselor and to another degree the peer assistants can really help. And now that I've mentioned student life counselors, and I think you all have mentioned them a couple times too, and peer assistants, I'm going to jump in line with the questions here and ask if a couple of you will explain, maybe one of you explain peer assistants and one explain student life counselors.
I can start with peer assistance. This is my second year being a peer assistant. So the role of a peer assistant is, I feel like it's kind of hard to grasp, so I'm going to try to just explain it in a simple context. So we have talked a lot about our student life counselors, which, like I briefly mentioned, are the people that live on the floor with us. Now, our peer assistants are like in the student body with us. So I am a peer assistant and I'm also like a student here. A peer assistant has an assigned group of what are called custodials, just assigned group of students that they look after. So as a senior, I have an assigned group of juniors that I will check in with occasionally. I'm required to have like specific check-ins with them, usually when we get near like fall break or like winter break, just to check in on how their semester is going, how they're doing academically, residentially, emotionally. Try to see how I can support them in the best ways possible, see if they need to be connected with any resources. I can help them connect with them. If they have any questions for me, I can do my best to help answer them or try and find an answer or to see like who they can go to find that answer. And then additionally, I'm just like available to all students because I've been here for like a year. I like have a greater knowledge of kind of like the different resources available around campus within the academy. So a lot of students will just see peer assistants as people they can go to if they need like help emotionally, or like if they're having issues with their roommate, a lot of times they'll go to like their peer assistant to help figure out how to have like a mediated conversation. So peer assistants are just there to help support students emotionally and academically as well if they need it. So we're just kind of there to help support, but we're also still within the student body, so we don't have like any official power or anything like that.
Well covered, well covered. Thank you so much. All right, I apologize for jumping the question queue with that one. So let me get back to those. So let's see, let me see which one was up next. Oh yes, okay. So this question is, I am a vegan. Does the cafeteria have food options for me?
Yes. Yes, it does. Short answer. So as we mentioned previously, we have 4 different dining halls available to us. Right off the top of my head, I believe there are vegan options at every single dining hall. I'm not 100% sure on that, but like I'm pretty sure on it, you know? Um, However, Ball State has a dietitian that they keep on staff. You can go to their office, you can email them, and they can tell you exactly what options fit whatever dietary restrictions you have, whether it's vegan, whether it's vegetarian, whether it's a gluten allergy, you know, whatever you have, you can work with the dietitian's office to find out what options on campus are available to you from the dining halls. Um, And of the 4 dining halls, the one that's going to be the one that Ball State typically advertises as its most allergen or allergen friendly food option dining hall is North Dining. They have a kitchen specifically that will cater to whatever sort of dining needs your student might have. But Ball State as a whole does a really, really good job of providing options for students regardless of diet.
Thank you so much, Brody. This next question that was submitted is actually a question from one of our parents. So their question is, I don't want my student to miss out on traditional high school experiences, such as going to the ball games, dances, prom, that sort of thing. Does the Academy offer anything like this? And do you all feel like you have missed out on anything?
I feel like the Academy is very good at like trying to provide like the regular high school experience while also giving you advanced opportunities that you wouldn't get other places. Like you can still go to games, you can go to Ball State games if you want to. You can go to, because Burris also has games that you can go to and you can participate in sports. And we have dances and we have all of the normal high school experiences plus extracurricular activities that other schools do offer and even more. And we just have like a lot of opportunities here that you will still find at your back at like your home schools, but just with additional curriculum and additional just things thrown in there.
The Academy has, I believe, 219 students enrolled this year. Obviously, that's a little small. If your student is coming from a school that has 4,000 students at it, 5,000 students at it, yeah, we're not going to, the Academy doesn't have a homecoming that's going to be the same size as that school. The dances aren't going to be quite as ritzy. They're not, like, we do what we can with 219 people, but we do a really good job of doing what we can with 219 people. We have our own version of homecoming. We have a catathon, which is a weekend filled with activities, games, competitions. We split the school up into 4 teams and we pit them against each other to see what team can win a catathon. And what do they win? A pizza party and bragging rights. But people get I say people, I and several others get very into a catathon. Yes. Yeah. My team came in 4th place. But we did a very good job of trying not to come in 4th place. But we do a catathon. Savannah mentioned we do all kinds of dances. We have quite a number of them throughout the year. The PAs, myself and Alicia are PAs. We do a really good job of trying to plan as many of them as we can. But I think a really important. All right. All right. I see. Red teamer. I don't know. No, I'm not salty about it at all. If that wasn't clear, I'm not upset about it. But I think a really important thing to remember is that as much as we can try to make the Academy just as similar to a traditional high school as we can, it's not a traditional high school. We're going to do things differently. The dynamic's going to be different. Like it will be different. And that's going to be weird. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be okay. We might not have massive homecoming. We might not have football. We might not blah, 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 blah. But we have all these other things that we can do instead. The Academy, I think, first and foremost, is an opportunity for students to find things that they can't find anywhere else. And because of that, that does mean that some things that are everywhere else we don't have just out of necessity. But we do a really good job of keeping everything that everyone else has and adding even more onto it.
I think that's a really good response to that. And sorry, I had to, brag about my team there for just a second, Cody. Or Brody. Sorry, I called you Cody.
You're okay.
I'm so sorry. I was thinking about my nephew.
No, you're okay. Cody, Brady, I'm used to it. No, red team, y'all won fair and square, and I'll live with it. I won last year. I got my year. It's all good.
But I do think you answered that very well. And to kind of build on that just for a moment, we do have a full range of IHSAA athletics. And I will drop in just a moment our website into the chat box so you can go and take a look at the different athletics that we do offer. We also have an incredible amount of extracurricular activities. Again, I think Brody's participated in every single one of them. And one of the cool things about the Academy is that if we don't have a club that you're used to participating in, you can bring it here. You can start it. Or if you have an idea for one, we've had some of the coolest clubs started this way. One of my favorite ones is like, they called it the Herbal Tea Club. And the Herbal Tea Club, one Saturday out of the month, they would get up like super early on a Saturday. They'd all come down to the lounge with their cups of herbal tea, and they would just talk about whatever the hot topic of the day was. Some of my other favorites, we had the Meat Club. That was a group that got together and grilled out. We had the Nail Polish Club, Mixed Martial Arts Club, Guitar Club. I mean, so many different unique clubs. So we have academically oriented clubs as well as just kind of those special, unique, niche type clubs. So again, just to toss that out there. The next question we have coming in is asking about how you dealt with being away from your family and friends. And actually, Eric, I'm going to ask you if you want to weigh in on this one because you are way far away from your family and friends. How have you dealt with that?
When it came here, I miss my parents and my brother so much that at the first time I came here, I I often cry. Yeah. Um, but my friends and also my PAs always helps me to overcome like the hardest experience of my here at the academy when I live far away from my family. And also, I believe that being a residential student here give me a lot of lessons about like self-discipline and independent. Like I have to create my own habit of wake up early to my 8 a.m. class. Yeah. Being a residential student helps me a lot.
Would anyone else like to add anything to that?
One thing that definitely helped me in the beginning was I probably called my mom probably 10 times a day at the start. It was definitely, we've eased out now, but definitely being able to have like those FaceTime calls, phone calls definitely helped a lot with the kind of distance. And you do get used to it after a while. I mean, everything's kind of hard in the beginning, but once you realize you have so many other support systems here that it becomes a lot easier for you to manage.
Homesickness for me, funnily enough, it wasn't an issue at the beginning of my junior year. It was an issue at the end. Like I never really experienced homesickness truly until maybe midway through my second semester last year. And that's when it really hit me because that's when it was getting to that time of year where there's like not really any breaks happening. Finals are creeping up on you. You don't get to go home for another like 4 weeks. I live 3 hours away from the academy, so going home is not something I can just casually do. So it's like, okay, well, I have to wait 4 more weeks until I can go home. There's not much I can do about that. That's when it started hitting me. I think something that really is going to be beyond helpful in combating homesickness is just finding a good group of friends that you can work with. Um, if you're, first year junior moving in, every other first year junior moving in has absolutely no idea who they're going to be friends with. It is a little bit of a horrifying experience, but you just got to throw yourself into it and make friends. You just got to do it because if you don't do it, you're going to have a lot harder time with homesickness than you will otherwise. Find a good group of people, find them quick, and then stick with them. It hasn't done me wrong yet.
Yeah, so like Brody said, with like finding friends to help with homesickness, I think that's really important. And then the other thing is if you are feeling homesick and you don't know who to reach out to, you can always go talk to your peer assistant. They're a great resource. Another one is your student life counselor or any student life counselor within the academy. They can help you come up with some coping methods. They can give you some ideas on what you can do to help go through that. And then the other thing is the academy has the mental health services department. So if you are having a really rough time with homesickness, or just like if you're stressed out about school or anything like that, they truly have an excellent group of people there. A lot of them are like doctoral students in a program at Ball State University. And then there is Dr. Mindy Walpe, who is a psychologist, and they have a lot of great people in the mental health department where you can schedule like regular therapy sessions weekly, or you can just go down if you're having like a really rough time one day, like specifically on the topic we're on, homesickness. I know I've gotten a little off topic, apologies, but if you're just like stressed out about like school or exams, or you had a fight with a friend, like you can just walk in. There will always be someone there with like the door open um, during the regular like hours, and then in the evenings you have your student life counselors, but like during the day there's always someone there who you can go to and talk to, and they can help you come up with some coping methods and figure out next steps. So yeah.
Great, thank you all so much. The next question is about whether or not we have a dress code.
So
So I can start, Brody can finish, if that's okay. So all of our like the majority of our classes that are not Ball State classes are going to be at Burris Laboratory School, which is a K-12 school that is right next to our residence hall, which is Wagner Hall. So most, if not all, of your classes are going to be at Burris Laboratory School, which has been mentioned a few times. So I figured I would clear that up first. So Burris Laboratory School does have their own dress code, like a normal school would. Everything is like published on their website when it comes to like specific details about things, but there is a dress code present. Most of it is just like be modest, like don't show up in like crazy clothing or like something that's like inciting violence or anything like that. But like they're not super strict on dress code policy from what I could tell. And then within the academy, it's also like they have a dress code policy, but again, like it's not like ridiculously strict. It's just a lot of it's common sense. Like just wear clothing, wear shoes, like just I feel like that's most of it. If you want to say something else about it, Brody.
no, that completely covered it. I was going to say, like, there's two tiers of dress code, I would say, within the academy. There's floor dress code and there's non-floor dress code. Floor dress code, you can walk around barefoot, you could walk around in pajamas, you could, there's far less rules on the floor further than just like basic human decency. But in the like public lounges out in Burris, the dress code is not much stricter than that. It is just basic human decency. Don't wear anything inappropriate. Don't show anything inappropriate. And that's about all the further it goes. That's one of the parts of the academy I really enjoyed, honestly. There's a lot of self expression through clothing, and you get to see some fantastic outfits because of it. So the dress code, it absolutely exists. It is enforced, but it's not much more than just like modesty.
Great, thank you so much. This next question is near and dear to my heart. So I'm excited to see how you all answer this. What do they look for in the application? And do you have any tips on how to get in?
My biggest piece of advice that I give when anyone is applying for anything, when anyone is interviewing for anything, do not write down what they want, what you think they want to see. Don't don't do that. It's so easy to tell when people are doing that. Like be yourself. Don't try and be the yourself that you think the academy wants. Don't try and make yourself sound better for the academy. Just be who you are. Who you are is going to be more than enough to get into this school. So that's honestly one of the things that's nicest about the academy. People are who they are, and that carries over into the application. Be who you are. Do not be anything else than that. Do not be anything more. Do not be anything less. Be yourself and make sure that that shows through.
I also feel like and like being you need to like focus a lot on what you're writing in your like short answers, because I feel like that's very important, and that's something that they look into a lot and they really take that into consideration. So don't just brush it over, like put effort into it. Make sure when you read it, it makes sense, like grammar and stuff like that. That is important, and just make sure you're putting the best version of you out there.
Yes, definitely. And one tip I would give, which I feel like is really hard for a lot of us Academy students, but don't procrastinate on your application. I think that's something you'll find when you get here. A lot of us are really big on procrastinating on things for whatever reason. But don't procrastinate. Take the time to sit, think through your answers, especially when it comes to those short answers, because they are so important, because they're really that like one piece of the application where they genuinely get to see who you are through your writing. And I think the amazing thing about the academy is that each of us got here for a reason. Like, we're all a little different. It's not just going to be like one standard like short answer that they're looking for. Like, they're looking to see who you are. So take that time, put in the effort, don't procrastinate, and it's all going to work out how it's supposed to.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. And as the person that reads everything coming in, I appreciate very much what Brody and Alicia and Savannah have shared. Be yourself, definitely, in those short answer responses. And as Savannah was sharing, everything truly does count. So read the question and then compose your answer. You can do it right there in the application, or you can do it in Word or whatever processing program you prefer, and have somebody else read it to make sure that you are fully answering that question. There is a 200-word minimum. We don't have a maximum, so write as much as you need then to fully answer the question. But keep in mind that content, organization, spelling, grammar, everything counts. You're truly putting your best foot forward. All right, so just a real quick reminder to those that are here in the Zoom room, if you have any questions for our students, drop those into the chat box, either to me privately or to the entire group. And if you're watching this on one of our social media platforms, you can put that question into the comments, or you can email it to me at the address next to my name on the screen. Real quickly here, I am going to share my screen with you because I have something fun. At least I think it's fun. Oh, darn it. Let me see here. There we go. Slideshow. I can't get to it. Hold on. I got to stop this, I think. There we go. Can everybody see that? I have a QR code on your screen. So if you want to scan that and fill out just a super brief questionnaire, I think it's maybe only 2 or 3 questions, I will happily send you some cool Academy swag. So go ahead and scan that. I'll leave it up for just a couple more seconds here. And since I have it up on the screen, I can't see what the next question was. So I'm going to toss out this one for our ambassadors. Since we were just talking about the application process, can you explain a little bit about orientation and what happens at orientation? So if a student's admitted, you're going to be invited to orientation, which takes place in June. So what happens at orientation?
So orientation is an incredibly busy day. It's a long day. It's a busy day. It's a good time. For new students, orientation day and move-in day is one day. So you got a lot going on. You hear from the department heads of all of our departments. You hear from just about all of our administrators. You hear from a number of our staff. You meet a lot of the staff. You meet a lot of the faculty. You get moved in. You maybe meet your roommate in person for the first time. And move-in day and orientation day is really the day that you start putting together the relationships that are going to last you throughout this year, because it's one of the first times that you can really start putting a face to a name with the people that you might have known going into it or that you might have never met before. So it's a little bit of an overwhelming day. It's a lot of information overload, but it is a really, really important day when it comes to making sure that you've got some relationships as soon as you get to the academy.
So going along with that, I do just kind of want to explain that like first you're going to go to orientation in June, and then you have like move-in slash what we like to call welcome week. No, you're good, Brody. What we like to call welcome week, which is where you'll hear a lot of those presentations, but going specifically first on orientation. So like Dr. Tuitt said, that is in June. So with orientation, I believe that you take your placement exams in advance, which are kind of um, helping like your advisor know what classes to put you in once you get to orientation. So at orientation, you're still going to go through like some different presentations with like the director of residential life as well as academic life. So you're going to go through some different presentations just to kind of hear more about the academy, what they expect of you, different like resources they have available to you as a student. And then you'll get to kind of meet some other people. It is like a full day event, and then there will be like some icebreakers that day as well. So you kind of get to meet some like of the different students, and then you should get to like meet with your advisor to start like building your schedule for the fall semester as well, I believe. So that's kind of what orientation looks like. And then in August, after you actually move in, there's what we call welcome week. So you move in, and then the next few days, you're going to have like some different activities that are planned out with your peer assistants, as well as some of the different department heads. And so you'll go to some different presentations, you'll participate in some different activities. So you just kind of get to learn more about like the rules of the academy, as well as like different opportunities and resources available.
And everybody had a blast at summer orientation, right? Yeah. One of the things that they did not mention that I'm going to jump in on is at move in, you will often see the PAs helping direct the new students and carrying things in and planning activities and doing all kinds of amazing things. Alicia, you said you're a peer assistant, right?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
my second year as a peer assistant, so my second welcome week. So yeah, I can kind of touch on what peer assistants do that week.
Awesome.
So specifically, during move-in, we're helping you, just like Dr. Tuitt said, just like move in, direct you to find your student life counselor to help make sure you got all the paperwork filled out, that you get your room key, and help carry anything to your room that you may need. We also direct you to some of the different like programs that you're going to be attending during welcome week, where those are at, where you need to go. We also meet with like our specific group of students that we have, and we do some icebreakers so that you guys get to know each other and we get to know more about you. So that's really exciting. And then more than that, a lot of that time is just given to you. So you get to meet a lot of the new students, you get to start forming those bonds and relationships and just learning about the academy and then campus in general.
Thank you so much. All right, well, I'm pulling up this next slide that I want to share with all of our participants. Can you each share with me your favorite book? Your favorite book?
So what Dr. Tuitt just asked me to do is equivalent to picking a favorite child or like a favorite finger, you know. But I do have an answer because I do have a favorite child. And it's a book called Annihilation, and it is by Jeff Vandermeer. It is the first book in the Southern Reach trilogy, and it was actually assigned reading for a class that I had last semester. One of the classes that contributed to the 273 pages of reading I had one day. But that book was Frankenstein. That wasn't Annihilation. Annihilation, it's a weird cosmic horror. It's actually called weird fiction. That's the genre it exists in. But it's delightfully strange, incredibly weird, and just so good. So good.
I can go next. My favorite book is Stolen. I have to say I don't remember who the author is. Apologies, but it's a really good book. It's kind of like a mystery and a romance, and I just really enjoyed it.
My favorite book is probably The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. You know, I feel like it's a book everyone's read. It's also my favorite movie. Um, it's like it's also based in Indiana, which is fun. Um, yeah, it's a romance, and I feel like it's just a good read. It's a tearjerker, but it's a good read.
Mine would probably have to be The Wilder Girls by Rory Power. It's like a post-apocalyptic. It's a post-zombie world. It is a post-zombie world, and that's my favorite genre of book or movie or story. It is very interesting and lots of plot twists, so it's definitely my favorite book.
My favorite book is Sapiens. It is also my first English book that I read in my life. Yeah, this book gave me a lot of motivation in studying history.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I always find it so interesting to hear what everybody's favorite book is. Well, our time has gone super quickly tonight. But before we close, I would like to invite you all to join us for some of our upcoming programs. I've listed just a few of them there on the screen, and you'll also see a QR code there if you want to scan that for a list of all of our upcoming programs, as well as the registration links. That'll take you right to it. I do want to point just a couple out. We do have our first Discovery Day of the year this Saturday, October the 26th. Super excited about that. Our next one will be November the 9th. If you are interested in asking more questions of our awesome students, you can join us for our Let's Chat, which will take place in November. It'll be on November the 5th at 7 o'clock p.m. But those are typically offered the first Tuesday of every month. And then the next one in our What Makes the Academy Exceptional series will be on November 7th, where we'll be focusing on athletics. And our athletic director will be there to share all about our athletics program and to answer any questions that you might have about that. So please do scan that QR code and take a look at the different programs that we offer. I want to give a very heartfelt thank you to Savannah, Chloe, Brody, Alicia, and Eric for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. You've done a great job at answering questions. And I thank all of you here in the Zoom room and those watching on our social media platforms for joining us. Please do feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks again for joining us. Enjoy your evening.